of course, oh, there we go. Now we got sound. Apologize about that. Thank you, Martin23 Kings. Do appreciate your comment. Kilobyte, what's going on? Glad to see you in here. If everybody isn't sure about what's going on about the whole NVIDIA RTX 50 series Super, unfortunately, it is 100% delayed. We have a bit of confirmation that apparently they received a press copy of the issue of having no 50 series Supers for this year. As you guys know, at CES 2026, it was a bit of concern because we didn't really see anything new on the 50 series Super side, as some of you expect. Ernesto, what's going on? As you know, we have our wonderful members coming in, and I do have to mention the whole thing. The earlier leaks, they were saying that the RTX 50 series Super, that they might arrive at the show. Of course, we didn't see that at all. Instead, we did get some refreshes of some RTX 5090s. Hopefully you guys are excited for it. All three of the major brands, ASUS, Gigabyte, MSI, they all came out with their variations of the RTX 5090, which was pretty dope. Of course, it's going to be very expensive for anybody that wants to get any of these special edition cards. They're going to be quite up there in price, especially if you go for Gigabyte's Infinity RTX 5090. Very special looking card. Some people call it the boombox. In fact, it probably fit pretty well on the Lee & Lee Landcool 217 Infinity, right? It would match pretty well, especially because it has like almost that speaker look. But anyway, yeah, that card. You do have MSI's Lightning, which is supposed to be a beast. Not really supposed to be, but it is a beast, running at about 1000 watts of power, and getting the potential you can have with such a card like that. And of course, ASUS went with something a bit more refined. They do have the ProArt RTX 5090 that some of you may be interested in. For those who are more creative oriented, or you want something a bit more stealthy in your build, I mean, you could technically game on it. It's still a 5090, but at least it's not as flashy as the other two, as the MSI Lightning RTX 5090, and of course the Gigabyte's Infinity RTX 5090. Now, of course, with the whole 50 series news, some of you may or may have not heard that the 50 series Super is certainly indefinitely delayed. Unfortunately, there is a issue with the whole VRAM issue. And unfortunately, this is also going to get pushed into 2027 more than likely, and even a bit further. We might actually see the 60 series much later than we expected to. And there's also a bit more development that I do want to share with you guys, who certainly do have many questions about what's going on about their situation. In fact, NVIDIA said that they are going to produce a lot less 16 gigabyte cards. If you are interested, say in a 5070 Ti or maybe a RTX 5080 even, unfortunately, NVIDIA says they are going to throttle back on it. So they are for sure not going to develop as many, but they are going to push more 5060s and like 5060 Ti's, but more of like 8 gigabyte variants. So if anybody is looking for a more higher VRAM card, those are more than likely your cards that you are going to have to search for unless you go out and take a look for. Now, some of you may know already as it is. If you take a look at your local Micro Center, your Best Buy, a Newegg, you're going to notice that there is not really that much supply when it comes to RTX 5090s. Reason being is because a lot of people are purchasing it all up because they're afraid that the stock supply will not currently hold. So if you are more of a person that actually needs that card, and most people that need that card, you're running some insane specifications. I mean, even a RTX 5080, when we went to CES 2026, even at Samsung's event, running at 6K with a 5080 with no real issues. But of course, there was no real frame counter or anything like that. So we can't say that it was running at the full 330 hertz. So it's hard to say exactly that, but it didn't really have any issues then. Of course, it could have been running things like frame generation to make it look a bit better. But at the time when I was checking it, it didn't seem like that was the case. So anyway, the point is, if you do need a RTX 5070 Ti or RTX 5080, it's certainly a good idea to take a look at your local stores, such as your Micro Centers, your Best Buys, because unfortunately, that stock supply is going to look just like the RTX 5090s. King, what's going on? ASUS makes all products 20% prices higher. PSUs, cases, motherboards. Unfortunately, that's a big complaint about a lot of people when it comes to ASUS's products. But again, they do have some really great products that are out there. And I mean, if you compare all the models fairly enough, they're going to be all priced high. RTX 5090 Pro Art Edition that they just recently came out with. But if you did compare it to something like the RTX MSI Lightning, their RTX 5090 is going to be priced pretty high. Same thing with the Gigabytes Infinity, because they're all like the high-end models. Now, if you were comparing it, I'd say fair and fair side, I would say you would have to compare it to like ASUS's Matrix model, which is the RTX 5090. That's priced at $4,000. Gigabytes card, from what I'm hearing, is going to be priced pretty high as well. Unfortunately, all 5090s are going to go up in price. So Martin, it says, looks like I'm sticking with my 4080 Super Founders Edition another couple more years. Please do. I mean, the Founders Edition card for the 4080 is an excellent card. In fact, that it's going to force a lot of developers out there to develop their games much better if that's the case. Because if everybody was just willing to, say, switch over to a RTX 5090, that's a bit problematic, because then the demand is going to be much higher. Now, pulling back a bit, if we talk about the Steam hardware survey, a lot of gamers out there do not game on these high-end cards. Believe it or not even most people game on a RTX 5080, which we will pull up in just a bit, and we'll take a look together at the Steam hardware survey. Now, some of you guys out there are probably a bit more curious about the RAM situation, and if it's getting any better in any sort of way. To update you guys, unfortunately, the situation with RAM is continuous, and it's just not changing at all from what it seems. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'd rather be much more straight with you guys out there that are searching for RAM. In fact, the whole RAM situation, they said that it can last up into 2028, and that's the more and more common number I'm hearing from. Now, these numbers are coming from Micron. You're hearing it from places like Patriots, where they're saying that it seems that the supply is going to last about between 2028 before it really gets better. Unless you have a company out there, I don't know if you guys exactly heard this one. It might be a good laugh for you guys too, because the thing is, Crucial said the reason why they pulled out of the consumer market is because they want to help the consumers benefit a bit more if they just focus on HBMs, and that way they don't have to just focus on just retail and on the enterprise side. But we all know that's straight up BS. We all know that's just profit. I mean, come on, do they think that we don't know any better than that? So King Claus also says, what do you think of the price point of the Lightning over 5,000? It is very expensive. I do agree that the price is very high on the Lightning, but it does run two 12-volt high power ports. It's practically, if RTX 5090 had a super, it would be the Lightning. That's how I would describe the MSI Lightning. It would certainly feel like a super if you had that card. I think it is very expensive though, especially for an enthusiast card, unless you are a very heavy overclocker. You're into overclocking, you want to really pull the best. I mean, it's an amazing card, the way it's designed and the way they dissipate the heat and the airflow through that card is quite amazing, and the cooling is just subpar. So if you were to get a card like that, I think it's certainly a great enthusiast card, but it's not going to be for your average gamer type of card. So if anyone's thinking of the RTX 5090, it's a awesome and beautiful card to have, but it's expensive too. So do you think AMD, okay, that is actually a great question. So Martin poses an excellent question here, that will they actually release AM4 3D CPUs? And the reason being is, of course, the problem all begins with the RAM. Not everyone is able to get DDR5 RAM. Or if you're able to get DDR5 RAM, it's no secret that it's really expensive. If you were to get 64 gigabytes of RAM, the average price is going to be between $800 or $900, and that's just like getting like CL36, nothing crazy, nothing super low latency. So if the reason why AM4 is brought up into the subject, and I ask all the major retailers this, I asked ASUS, I asked MSI, I asked Gigabyte, and here are the answers that I pulled out of all of them. So now, on the ASUS side, on the ASUS front, they are proactively thinking about it. But the problem is when it comes to AM4 boards or any other type of motherboard, it does take quite a bit of process in order to do so. Now, Microsoft, yes, and that's a big issue too. That could be a problem, and hopefully not. But the problem with that is, with the AM4 boards, ASUS says that they are proactively looking at it, but the problem is it takes 6 months of full development before they can re-release the product. If this ongoing issue with the RAM is continuous, then more than likely they would take it a bit more serious and say, hey, maybe we do produce some of these AM4 boards out. So that is one of their ideas. They do have like prototypes technically that they are looking at, but they weren't at the CES 2026 show floor. Gigabyte, they also kind of responded like they do have some models themselves that they're testing. But again, that's something that they're not sure of releasing just quite yet, because again, it takes time to release these motherboards, and they have to ensure that there's an actual demand for people wanting to purchase AM4 boards. In fact, that's actually going to make a great poll question for everybody out there, which I will ask in a bit. And I asked MSI, and MSI just shot me a straight no, that they're not even thinking, they're not even bothering about like going back to AM4. They're like, AM5's the future. This is the way we're gonna go. There's no going back. So for sure, I know ASUS, but then again, it can change. Who knows? MSI could change their tone in the future, but from what I gathered at CES 2026, they said they're not. Gigabyte and ASUS both are proactively thinking about releasing these boards, but of course, the RAM situation has to be bad enough to the point where they're like, okay, we got to release these. But again, DDR4 is not as pretty as well when it comes to pricing. So I'm going to throw out a poll for everybody out there to ask this, because I am curious, and I'm sure a lot of people are also curious about this question about when it comes to RAM. It's not I know it seems like that, right? It's not bad enough yet. I know. Apparently they want to see like a fire. They want to see like a Micro Centers on like fire, like trying to get some RAM, like to that kind of point. It is pretty hysterical when you really do think about it. But here is the poll I am going to ask, and let me just pull it up, because for any new builders out there, I am curious what your thoughts are, especially on the AM5 platform, or maybe you're thinking of going Intel. Don't mean to ignore the whole Intel platform. Of course, that's a big thing. Hopefully you guys are certainly excited for Panther Lake's i3 that is currently out for laptops and everything. So if you are looking for more of an embedded CPU with decent graphics, I mean, it runs 12 cores on graphics, that is certainly an option. It ran Battlefield 6 flawlessly. Of course, you have to have set everything on pretty much automatic. And their XeSS3, I have to say, is pretty hysterical when I heard it, because when they said 3 per 1 frame, I was like, that sounds a lot like another company that we know of. And you guys could probably take a guess on exactly which company I'm talking about. So I'm going to throw this poll. Just got to find it real quick. And here it is. So this is going to be meant for a lot of new builders, or if you're pondering on another build maybe. So are you willing to purchase AM4 motherboards? So you have an old PC with the i9, still works well. Yeah, I mean, it's still going to work great. There's no problems with a lot of these motherboards and CPUs. It's almost to the point where like we're almost going to go to like retro tech days. Like you have to have, if you upgrade your, say, laptop or upgrade your smartphone, especially today, it's going to seem like a downgrade for 2026, because The standard capacity for a lot of these laptops and a lot of these phones, they are pushing it to 8 gigabytes. So can you imagine if you have a 12 gigabyte phone and then this happens, of course. You can't really upgrade. If you do upgrade, you're losing 4 gigabytes of RAM, which makes no sense. And you're not going to get as good graphics, possibly, even when it comes to your processor. Also, a big problem that is also happening. Here's the poll, guys. If you want to answer, you just simply put 1 or 2. So this is the poll here. So I found my issues on my PCs. Oh yeah, did you? It was your motherboard. That's interesting. Uh, but going back, it's if you upgrade anything, like to a new phone, upgrade to a new laptop, it might not be worth it. Honestly, it might be better to look into last year's model. It might be better to go for a 2025 laptop instead, because at least you know it's going to have between 16 to 32 gigabytes. And it's interesting. So far, we got a 1. We got 1 and 2. So feel free to vote, and that's how you move the poll. So we got a 2. Interesting. Okay, so you have a mix. You have a mix of people that are interested in the AM4. Some people might feel that it is a downgrade, but technically it's not. I mean, old system still works great. A perfect example right now is I'm actually streaming from a older system on a Zen 2 Threadripper PC, and it works great. So there's no problems there. Technically, when it comes to building PCs, if you have, say, 32 gigabytes of RAM, more than likely you're going to be good, at least for a good while, until you build another PC. Or maybe you want to get into like video editing and you just need more capacity. You need up to 64 gigabytes, then it would make a bit more sense. But for most people, they're going to be good with about 32 gigabytes is a decent one. What's up, Z-Man? Squeeze says he went from a 2022 Samsung to a 2023 iPhone. But it seems that the majority is certainly saying AM4 is for the win. They feel that AM4 is one of those platforms that can certainly live forever. 2, because I bought the 9800 XTD bundle. But if I had not, I would definitely consider AM4. Makes perfect sense, Waffle Skater, because for most people out there, it's going to be very tough to get some RAM. I mean, and we're going to go into the prices a little bit. I'm going to read a statement that was made, some keynotes that was actually made by one of the companies here, by NVIDIA to another company. Doesn't quite say who, for obvious reasons. They don't want to leak any real information here. So RAM still hasn't gone down in prices yet. Wishful thinking. Absolutely. It's wishful thinking. I would love for the pricing to go down. I mean, even us, sure, some of you guys might be like, oh, you guys can get RAM easier. Like for us, who are doing influencing and social media. And even for us, it's been a real pain in order for us to get it. And a lot of the suppliers are even afraid to give up stock because they don't know what they're going to have. So build a AM4 PC at 5 a.m. Now it's AM5. So I just bought some ESD bags. Good. So if anybody does have some extra RAM, if you have DDR4, please put it in ESD bags. It will save you a lot of heartache, especially if it's still working. Because most people just probably set it in the drawer and not really think about it. But if you get ESD bags, that will certainly protect your RAM. And it's practically gold now. If you're storing gold, just think of it like that. You have gold in your drawer. It's more expensive than even gold pricing, which is pretty insane if you really think about it, depending on the capacity. If you got 96 gigabytes of DDR4, it's worth something. It really is. So Waffle Skater says, safe to assume prices are going to raise more if the bundles shot up $50 overnight. Glad I bought mine a few weeks ago, but now I'm hearing PSUs and coolers are going to raise up. Yes, and there's a reason for that. That's another topic to bring up, and that's what is causing a lot of problems in the PC building community. And the reason why they're saying that the pricing, now this is rumored though, the reason why they're saying the pricing is going up, it also makes sense too at the same time, is because the cost of commodities, the pricing of gold, the pricing of platinum, the little components that is required when you build these power supplies or some of these coolers, it does require a bit of those precious metals. So if in order for them to build it correctly and maybe even build up an alternate version of it, if they can, like maybe use a bit something less conductive, like maybe ceramic, that would certainly help cost, which we might even see in the near future. But anyway, the point is, that is one of the reasons why power supplies, why CPU coolers can certainly go up in price. You're talking about 15 to 20%, where you're kind of pricing out the whole PC building community because of it. So, oh man, PCMR can't, yes. Yeah, we really can't catch any breaks at all. First GPUs, the RAMs, and PSUs. So just imagine PC cases. Man, we are at a tiebreaker. Does anyone want to break that poll? So far, we got 50-50, guys. You let me know what you think. Do you think AM4 should make a comeback? I mean, I'm sure one of the reps are in here probably watching it just out of curiosity. But is anyone willing to go back to AM4? Are you willing to build a AM4 PC? So far, okay, Squeeze. If I have opened, okay. So far, yes. I see. So far, yes is winning. So it's like a really equal split nearly. I mean, take a look at that poll right there. If I have RAM that is unopened, do I need a bag for it? It's no. If it's unopened, no, you can keep it in its casing. It's for those who have RAM to say sitting in a drawer. Maybe you have an old PC build and you're like, hey, let me save this. Let me save this RAM because I never know where I might need it. Most people will just chuck it into the drawer, not really thinking about it, but over time it can cause discharge. And what would happen, it would practically short your sticks, which you don't want to happen. That's the whole point of having ESD bags. But if you have the original packaging, it's perfectly fine. You won't have to worry about it as long as if it's sitting in a safe place. So, yes, like it would end up shorting is what I mean. So anyway, here is what I want to show everybody out there real quick who is curious about the whole situation. So let me go here so you guys can see. And of course, let me just click it so that way, where is it at? It's funny, they got Alibaba up like on the thing. So if you guys are curious, here is the note that I wanted to pull up for you guys. So for everyone that is curious and was patiently waiting for the Super Series, they were saying that earlier leaks said that for the RTX 50 Series Super, says NVIDIA had already confirmed and informed AIC partners that would release and delay indefinitely. So this is to a direct partner that they were speaking to. So during Jensen Huang's keynote, he did not reveal or announce. We know that, right? Because everyone was tuned in, waiting for this brand new announcement, maybe for some miracle that a 50 Series Super would pop out. But of course, in the absence of the new generation NVIDIA graphics card, this may disappoint some hardware enthusiasts, but this decision is not completely unexpected. As we all know that the RAM shortage is here. So because the RAM shortage is here, that there is going to be some sort of issue when it comes to supply and VRAM. Now, number one is overseas demand for the compute GPU is surging for obvious reasons. They want to build up the AI infrastructure. You can't do that without more memory. If you guys tuned in for the AMD keynote, you could hear how much demand there was, especially from OpenAI. Because all they ask for is more RAM. They just need more memory. Not really RAM, but they just need more memory. They really want to get the fastest, most possible. And again, one of the reasons why they develop HBM4. But to get to the next point, the rise in memory related products may be a long cycle issue. VRAM chips are not only expensive, but also cost and affect consumer GPU market share because they know in order to create these GPUs, they have to have the memory. They don't want to take the loss in that they prefer to go into better places, such as into AI and build up their infrastructure so that way it can improve and get much more better. And let me scroll down here. So it is okay. So yeah, don't worry about it. It's unopened then. And let me get to my last point before I answer some quick questions. The most important point here is that there is no new news of the new generation AMD GPU, which was expected. We kind of wanted this new GPU to appear, and more than likely, I think they had an indication of it. It just sucks. Like I was right in front of some of the marketing at AMD, and I failed and forgot to completely ask that graphics card question. But hopefully, you guys got to check out the 9850 X3D, and you got to see the CCD. It's nothing too crazy special for anybody that currently has a 9800 X3D. If you have one, just hold on to it. Wait till like Zen 6 for like a much larger improvement. If you're just building a brand new PC and you're on AM5 and you were waiting on the 9850 X3D, it might be worth a bit of the investment then. But anyway, so let me see. Let me go up here real quick. So Killer Byte says no super, bummer. Absolutely. It kind of sucks, but we kind of knew this, so don't expect it during NVIDIA's GTC Summit. I definitely don't expect it then, and I also don't expect it during Computex. So I bought the 5700 X3D a year ago already, and 32 gigabytes of Samsung B die. I will say, yeah, you'll be good. And you have a legendary RAM kit, which will survive, especially that you can easily do some wonderful overclocking on that RAM kit. So Squeeze says, I need a new PSU 229 watt CPU and a 220 watt GPU on a 430 watt. Yes, you absolutely do. Once again, get into overclocking. Maybe you can, maybe you could do a bit more out of it. So, Quake Gang says, okay, thank you. Pew, it's 96 gigabytes, so don't want to break it. I get it. That's certainly not anybody's wishes right now. So to get back to the whole super issue, unfortunately, there is 100% no supers that are going to come out. So if there's no supers coming out, more than likely you can guess the direction of AMD, that they're not going to be focused on supers. In fact, they are hyper focused right now on AMD's Helios, which is their new servers. And of course, that was mentioned during the whole keynote. I don't think anyone is expecting it's supposed to be CES, but I don't think anyone is wanting or planning. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know. If you want Helios in your house, I would love to know who you are, because that thing is humongous. That thing, I mean, it's like, okay, in this studio, right? It's like about 10 feet tall. Helios will hit the ceiling. That's how tall that thing is. I don't know if anyone is interested. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was a consumer show, but they did throw in Helios if anyone's interested in the consumer market for something that massive. But they certainly emphasized that a Helios was needed, especially when it comes to AI needs. So again, unfortunately, with this whole situation, that line makes me laugh. The current RTX 50 series remains competitive for, you know why? You know what that line means? It means that they know that the 50 series is the only thing out there that can be best anyone. AMD, Intel, they know they don't stand a chance. And that's the sad truth. Like, if you're comparing path tracing and ray tracing, we all know NVIDIA will win over that. And that's how they kind of control the whole market share and pricing. Which, let me throw this in there real quick too. For anyone that is curious about the RTX 5090, if you are wanting to purchase a card like that, just to let you know, definitely check out your stores, see if they do have any in stock, because we're going to go on Micro Center right now to check if they have any in stock. Reason being is because they are very low in stock, and just, oh wow, already just going on to Micro Center's website, and I already see the uptick in pricing, $750 for a bundle. But again, it is a 9800 X3D, so I certainly get that. But with a B650E and a 32 gigabyte DDR5 kit, that is more than likely going to be CL36. I know, exactly. Is it me? But the fact that Jensen and AMD CEO are, yes. You know, it's true. It's funny because they are relatives, but they are from different parts. So I know for AMD's Lisa Su, she was originally from Tainan in Taiwan. And for Jensen, I can't remember exactly where from, but he wasn't from Tainan. He was from a opposite part. But Quake Gang says, have you heard anything more about the 99? That's a great question. They haven't said much about it. When I was talking to them about it, they were pretty strong on the whole 9850X 3D. But what they did tell me was the fact that they were planning to do a press release that day when I got to go see it. But unfortunately, it never happened. And I confirmed with them if it was okay for me to put the video up and pictures up, and they said, yeah, it's okay. Everything's good. So I went to go do that. And obviously there is no pricing. There's no release date. There's nothing yet, but do expect it soon. Expect it in the imminent future for it. So 24 hours ago, maybe it was $70 cheaper. That's a great question. Jensen, he immigrated to America. So originally he actually was from Taiwan. He was born in Taiwan. He went to Thailand and he lived in Thailand for quite a bit because his parents had a factory there. Then he actually moved to the States like when he was about 13, like roughly about 13 years old. And then from there he kind of grew up in the States for the rest of his life. So the RTX 5090s are, yes, and that's the crazy thing, CS Guac. That's exactly the problem that we're facing, is that pricing is really high. And for those who were planning to get a RTX 5090, this is the truth of it. So if anybody out there is in the Miami location, this is what it looks like, just to give you guys a look. Now, they used to have, if you went to my prior streams before, you guys know that they had over 20 ASUS ROG Astral RTX 5090s at this specific location. Now they have none. It's sold out. You see that, guys? Completely sold out. Right there, you look on the bottom, sold out. Same thing with the MSI NVIDIA RTX 5090 Supram. Sold out as well. They don't have anything left. So again, another issue that we're running into. The supply is not there. They also had the Zotac NVIDIA RTX 5090 Arctic Storm sold out as well. So you can see this is a problem because they knew that this was going to happen. And I certainly wanted to warn everybody in December when the prices were cheap. So I remember some of you guys out there were like, that went into the videos and said, oh, there's plenty at my store, but now look at it. This is what I warned everybody about, especially if you're looking for high capacity GPUs. So, breaking the bank, arm and leg plus kidneys at this point. Yes, you might as well make your pact with the devil and sell your soul while you're at it as well. So, Alice said, crazy. Waffle Skater said, has anyone ever seen a founders at Microsoft? You know, they actually had one at this location. I think it was one or two, in fact. They had one or two Founder Edition NVIDIA RTX 50 series cards, but of course they immediately sold. And this only happened when the RTX 50 series first launched. Ever since then, they never received any more. So Ernesto says, my Best Buy has few 5070s, 5080s. Yes. So it's getting lower and lower in stock, guys. So if you do need a GPU, I would certainly recommend to go get it. Now, what I am curious about, what I'm about to check with you guys, which I have not, was the just a 2R9700 AI is all I need for my build. But yeah, it would be awesome. I wish LSG was here. He has two of the A6000s. But again, his boss did all the talking in order to be able to obtain those, which is pretty dope, I gotta say. So let's take a look here, because the only last card that really had high capacity VRAM when it came to AMD side was the RX 7900 XTX. And more than likely, that's probably going to be out of stock too, I would imagine, because it seems that they are certainly looking for the higher memory cards. Oh, actually, they have 12 in stock. So they do have 7900 XTX in stock. So they actually have 12. So if you're looking at an alternative, this does have 24 gigabytes of G6. So if anyone is looking for a GPU, this is certainly a better option to go, instead of spending $3,000 or $4,000 on a card that is going to be quite pricey. Ooh, another shortage. If there was some way to avoid it, I guess NVIDIA did its best by help cutting production until, yes, they're doing everything just for us consumers. Because also, Crucial also said they're watching our backs because the reason why they left the consumer market is just to protect us. So that way they can go ahead and focus on making HBM strictly just for the AI companies. That way they are saving the consumer market. So yeah, even the 5080s have gone up in the price over the past couple weeks. It's insane. I mean, let's take a look at the 5080s. It really drastically just went up. And this was prior to CES, we started noticing the price increase. In fact, the price increases, originally you could buy an RTX 5080 for a decent price. You could buy it around 1,000, maybe a little bit, like around 1,100. And now the pricing has gone up quite dramatically. I mean, if you look at just the tough gaming, now if everyone doesn't know or is not sure about the whole tough gaming line, this is from ASUS. Now, ASUS makes, again, great cards when it comes to GPUs. But as you know, or if you don't know, the tough gaming line isn't going to be their top end card because it goes tough gaming, then it goes ROG Strix. I'm sorry, it goes from Prime, tough gaming, then you got ROG Strix, and then you just got the straight ROG cards. So they got like 4 tiers when it comes to it. So this is actually only like their 3rd tier type of GPU. And look at the pricing of it, $1,400. So that tells you right there that it's a very expensive right now for a GPU. And this is a RTX 5080. This is actually close to what I paid for the ASUS RTX 5090 an Noctua edition, which you guys probably got to see that video. But that is close to that price. It's only probably about $200 less. But $200 more, you get the Noctua version, which is pretty wild when you think about it. So I wouldn't mind if 6090s had 24 gigabyte options. And that's the thing. You know what the crazy thing, guys, is that over in China, they're actually creating blower motor style type of GPUs for the 5090s. And I'm not kidding. I'll look it up and I'll certainly show you guys. But they're building a single blower style GPU that are RTX 5090s for those who are interested in more of the AI side of things. So they didn't just do it to the 5090s, but they also did it to the 5080s. And they even modified it to where you can get up to 32 gigabytes on a 5080. So again, they are disassembling a lot of these cards in order to get the increased capacity plus have a customized blower style motor. But China, they're actually selling those type of graphics cards if anyone's actually interested in them. So / says Noctua, yes, it was 1,600. I may sound stupid, but I have some fear to use post-Ampere GPUs just because that 12-volt high failure power connector, by the way, I get it. There is a lot of fear in that. And again, that's why MSI did their whole modification when it came to their card with the MSI Lightning. They have actually 2 12-volt high power ports, but there's a reason for it. I mean, that's like if you want to run a RTX 5090 at full throttle to 1,000 watts. So I know not everyone's going to be into that. Of course, there's a lot of risk involved as well if you are willing to push those limits. And again, it's a very expensive enthusiast card to get just to try to push extra frames, unless you're more of the type that's more into just like breaking the record. You want to hit number 1 on some stats. So Sanchez says, when are the 6090s? Realistically, that's a great question. I believe the 6090s, we won't see them within the next year. I believe we would see them more than likely maybe early, I would say, if we're lucky, early 28. Maybe late 28 is more realistic, but in 2028, I would say, because they're going to keep the line as long as possible. But there is a good note on this. And the good note on this is that it's going to force a lot of game developers, a lot of software companies to be able to adapt and be able to use the graphics card better in that sense. That they can't just upgrade the hardware in order to adapt to the game. For example, Borderlands 4. If you guys didn't know about that whole situation, the owner of Borderlands 4 said, well, if your PC can't play it, 120 frames at 4K, then it's your fault for not having an RTX 5090. So now it's going to force a lot of those companies to actually provide better content, so to say, when it comes to their games. So late 20s, that would be, yes, that would be very lucky. Can someone explain why, how much power? It's insane. Okay, just to give you an idea. Now, that's a great question too. Just to give you an idea how much power a 5090 can possess, you're talking about like close to a fridge. The Lightning would be like a fridge. That would be like the power of your fridge right there. That's just to give you an idea. In fact, here's a good example. Like your microwave, if you have a high-powered microwave, that's how much power it has. That's how much is getting pushed through there. Yeah, it's no joke. So now going back to the 5080s, for those who are curious, there's only 3 available at the Micro Center over in Miami. So that's going to be the ASUS NVIDIA Tough Gaming, which is $1,400. Now this one is the Prime. As I mentioned, this is like the lowest of the low, the lowest tier you can get from ASUS. This is like the bare minimum, closest thing to like a Founders Edition for a RTX 5080, and that's $1,300, where it should be priced a bit more fair than that. It should be a lot closer to more like maybe like 1,100 at the most. At the most 1,100. It should be more like 1,050. The MSI NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080 Supreme Liquid, you're talking about $1,565. Again, expensive for the RTX 5080. So 60 it's possible if they put those two 12-volt high power ports. Why not just push it to the absolute limit? At that point, everyone's gonna have to check the power rating when it comes to their outlets for their wherever they have it plugged in. You have to make sure you're gonna have at least like everyone usually has like at least 15 amps. Like in the US, it's 15 amps that's running through a room, so you have to make sure it's gonna be pushed up to like at least 20 amps. So this 50s super cards is canceled. Yes. NVIDIA recommends at least 1,000-watt PSU. Right. So crazy. I paid a little bit over $1,200 for a 5080 expert, and I have 21. And that's the thing. But at least you made out with it. And I love that card. Hopefully you guys got to check out that whole CES coverage. If you guys haven't checked out any of the CES coverage, please do. I did some pretty detailed coverage on a lot of the brands. Actually, there's some more I actually want to do on Gigabyte. I still have a lot more. So it's still on the way. I'm working on all the coverage that I went through. Unfortunately, we couldn't live stream through everything because even though I was running dual bands, unfortunately, especially on the first floor for CES 2026, it was just no service. I was getting like late text. I wasn't even getting calls through it. It was really bad on the first floor. But once I went to the second floor and everything, streaming up there wasn't as bad. It would get caught up every once in a while, but it wasn't awful. So Muted Millennial says, don't get why the 5090 pricing and why AI folks are buying it. I use a 5000 Blackwell Pro 48 gigabytes for work. It costs 4,500 euros, but offers better ECC RAM and 16 gigabytes more memory than the 5090. I think a lot of it has to do with either those who are starting to get into AI, because think about those gamers, for example, that are into gaming and those who are suddenly getting into AI. So for them, they feel like the 5090 is going to be the best card that they can get. So they're getting the 5090s because they feel that is best, and then they want to go ahead and start with the LLMs. But later they'll realize that it's actually not as good as, say, if they want for something like even Intel's 48 gigabyte card that they certainly have. It's not going to be great for gaming, obviously, but it's meant for things just like LLMs. So Silent Fusion says the 5080 has good overclocking, just slight redeeming factor. They left on the headroom on that card. The airflow is just amazing on it. I love how the engineer thought of how the airflow works, because just to be able to, it works almost just like an internal PC practically. So it has the intake air up on the top and exhaust directly through the back, which I found was a really interesting design, I gotta say, for it. So the 5070 Ti probably soon is up to $1,000. Yes. It probably is. We're going to look at the 5070 Ti because, of course, it raises a concern. I do have a build coming up, guys, that I am working on, just working on acquiring some parts. And we have an Intel build. We have a Gigabyte motherboard that's been sitting here. I've been waiting for the 290K or the 270K to be released in order for this build to continue. And once we do, at least we'll have some fresh builds to watch. But, of course, it's not going to be too fun to watch unless everyone starts to get into the building side. So before anyone starts panicking, at least I can tell for most people out there that does want to game. Say you do want to game, but you don't have the money to get something like a 5090. You don't have to get a 5090. It is not the absolute be-all card. You can easily get a 5070 Ti, and a lot of people out there will certainly be happy with the 5070 Ti, especially gaming at 1440. Even you can game in 4K, you won't really have issues. Of course, there's some adjustments to be made, but it's not a big factor to the point where it will take away your gameplay. But the 5070 Ti, luckily, is holding in price. $750 for the Zotac RTX 5070 Ti, so that's certainly a card anyone can get, which is a bit more affordable. Unreal Champ, good to see you. The 9060 XT is pretty solid. Yes, and that's what I mean. The 9060 XT is great. 9070 XT. There's a lot of options out there. Don't panic if you don't get a 5080. So Matthew Cabot says, I picked up a 5070 Ti and went with 16 gigabytes and a 5070 with 12 gigabytes in 2025. Also the RX 96. So out of those two, I gotta say, Matt, which one did you like the best when you compare those two? So I gave up the paying prices of the 80s and gave them a 3080s. Yes. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of people out there who currently are on the 30 series. It's not really it's an upgrade, but it's not going to be a massive upgrade if you're currently playing, say, on the same display. So unless MSRP for 5070 Ti should be huge cut production. So, and the problem is, whatever you see, just remember this today. This is what? January 13th, okay? January 13th of 2026. So give it about like 2 weeks and you're going to see a lot of the stock just dissipate. You're going to see a lot of it gone. And it's certainly good to go ahead and get these because, again, NVIDIA plans on cutting production on the 5070s, 5070 Ti's, and 5080s. I don't know why 5070s isn't thrown in the mix, but apparently they are. 5070s, 5070 Ti's, I guess because they got 12 gigabytes, so they said, hey, that's a little too much. So 5070, 5070 Ti, and 5080s, they're all getting pulled out. 5090s, they will produce in a slow process. And the most that NVIDIA is focused on producing for gamers out there is going to be the 5060 and the 5060 Ti. And the reason, there is a reason for that, and which I will show you in a bit, actually. Matter of fact, let's look it up right now. Steam hardware survey. Right here. So we're going to look here, and they probably went off of this, more than likely. If you take a look at the video cards, the top card, let's see, we're going to go off a percentage here. 2%. I think it was the 5060, if I remember correctly. Yes, 1.26% game on a 5060 Ti. So this is what NVIDIA is going off of and saying, like, hey, most people are gaming on 5060s and 5060 Ti's. You're not getting a higher card. 5070 is on the list, 2.28%. 4060 Ti was on the list, 2.5%. Nobody, again, like the minority of people, like for example, a 5080 is only at 1.07%. So it's on a much lower scale compared to a lot of others. So George Carlin described them. Yes, I do agree with that. I do certainly agree with that. So bought a gigabyte gaming overclock 5070 last week for, that's not bad. And see, and that's the thing. It just like constantly goes up. As soon as you let your guys' eyes off of it, it will just suddenly go up in price. It's very volatile to this especially today when it comes to PC hardware. So might not see any 16 gigabyte cards. Exactly. And that's what I want to let everybody know. If you want a 16 gigabyte card, LSG, I was just talking about you. We were just talking about the 6,000 cards that you have. Did you get the put it together yet? Because I can't wait for you to put those in action. So, what more than RAM, GPU, and M.2 will go up in price, or will the other price go down? So, everything will consistently go up. It's not going to be immediate. We'll go back over to Micro Center here, and again, like everything's going to flip up into price. 5070s are what is truly holding when it comes to fair pricing. 5070s and 5070 Ti's. Same thing with the RX 9070s. In fact, I recommend anyone to get a RX 9070 if you haven't tried AMD. It's just a phenomenal card. Like, out of all 2025 and out of all the GPUs that I've tried, I highly recommended this card for everybody to certainly get, because the value and pricing is there, especially the ASRock AMD card, which is again only $600. You save money doing this, because GPUs are obviously one of the most expensive components when it comes to PC building. And of course, there's going to be RAM, which we will certainly take a look right now just to get an idea of what it's looking like. And we're on the top deals section, so let's see what they have on the top deals. So for RAM and M.2, what should you buy next? So that's a great question. It's going to be better to go for either one's going to be good to get, to be honest. RAM, it's good to be on top of, because the price is very volatile. I just actually posted up the chart just yesterday, and with the chart, we can see that the pricing has gone up on RAM again in January. Is that a big surprise for everybody out there? Because I don't think so. So LSG says, we ordered everything, but we got the 9980X. Oh, you got to take a picture of it, man. I'm jealous. That's something I really wanted to do early in the year. Not early, late in the year last year, but it was impossible because of the RAM pricing. But that's awesome. You're able to get all that. That's going to be fun. Waffle Skater says, get your PSU and coolers. That's a great suggestion for everybody out there. If you don't have a PSU or a CPU cooler, it's certainly a good idea, because the volatility when it comes to commodities, because of gold, copper, certain components that are put into CPU coolers and in PSUs will cause the pricing to go up. Hey V, what's going on? The next thing to go up is CPU coolers and PSU. Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say to everyone out there. Yes, PSUs will unfortunately be next to be going up. So make sure to keep your eyes on it. So again, we were just looking at these RAM kits not too long ago. We were checking on it, I think that Saturday when I got back from CES. And boy, was it friggin' exhausting. I gotta say, like, it was so... I was walking 15 miles a day at CES, and by the end of the week, I had to collect at least, like, 75 miles in total. And I ended up, like, with a minor ankle injury. Luckily, I kind of rested it to the point where I wasn't stepping on it too often, to where I ended up not being able to do things like go to the store. But luckily, I iced it enough, and it wasn't too crazy on the heal process. So thankfully, that didn't end up flaring up. That would have been rough too. So Crucial's 32 gigabytes RAM at 6,000 megahertz, CL36 is $400. So that's pretty pricey, but it is certainly their cheaper ones that they can get. G-Skull also has theirs. And if you notice, if you pay close attention, it seems that the latency is constantly at CL36. Keep an eye on it, because even though, like, for example, the next week passes, you want to look at that latency, because the latency is what's going to end up changing. And more than likely, they'll hold that 6,000 megahertz. For example, you might see Crucials say this is, again, 6,000 megahertz, but it might be at CL42, but the pricing's at 400. So you're thinking, oh, it didn't change much, but it did in the latency. So a lot of people won't be looking at that. But take a look. Even Corsair's Vengeance 64 gigabytes, CL30, decent, very decent RAM kit. 876. Again, not normal pricing for RAM. Should be nowhere near that. That could get you a RTX 5070 Ti, which is insane. So they didn't restock 9970X. Nah, I don't think so. You know what's funny? Let me look it up, actually. I'm curious. I am curious. But I wanted to wait for the new MSI PSU. Yes, it's amazing, right? That's pretty dope. I love that about MSI's new PSU. I think they did a great idea from them. I'm glad they actually thought this one through. So I agree with you. I could certainly wait for something like that. It's a great feature to have, especially for those who are worried about having a 12-volt high power port. Would make perfect sense, especially if you have RTX 5090, because that would do some damage. So will you guys buy color modern motherboards? Yeah, that's a good question. That's a great. You know what? I'll throw that on the poll for you, Waffle Skater. In fact, so would you guys, if you're familiar with the brand, I'm not sure if you guys are or not, but it is called Colorful. Would you be willing? Would you be willing to purchase Colorful motherboards or and I will throw that poll up, and here we go. That's an awesome question, actually. I love it because this would certainly bring competition when it comes to motherboards. So if you guys are curious on how to vote, just put 1 for yes, 2 for no. So I felt, yeah, CL36 is practically the new CL30 at this point. MSI PSU, what's so special about it? So their new PSU, it will actually alert you if it's too hot, if it's running too hot. Like, for example, you have a 5090 or a 5080, and if the voltage gets too high on, say, your 5090, I'll just use. Usually it's supposed to be at 575 watts when it's connected through the 12-volt high power port. But if it reaches above that limit, not including bus power, but just the 12-volt high power port, if it's over that limit, say it's at like 650 or 675, and not including the bus, if it's reaching those limits, the PSU will actually beep. It actually will give you a warning, kind of like the old school motherboards where they had like the CMOS batteries, like that beeping sound, kind of like that it would make. And then afterwards, it would shut down the PSU automatically within about 2 minutes if the PC did not cool off. So I think it's a great idea by MSI. I think that's a very useful one, especially for those who are certainly afraid of plugging in such high power ports. So my desire to see, so far we got a lot of interest in colorful motherboards there. They do make great GPUs, by the way. So my desired GPU is the 5070 Ti, but I hate that 12-volt high power port connector, and the price of the GPU is high. So I would probably pull the trigger and buy a 9070 XT. The compromises, although I love the LSS more. I certainly get it. I know it can be debatable at that time. But I highly suggest it. Like, for anyone that hasn't tried a 9070 XT, you will certainly fall in love with it. I'm telling you, it's a great card, and you don't have to spend as much money. Of course, if you do want to get the 5070 Ti, awesome card as well, especially for those who care a bit more when it comes to things like path tracing, I would say then it'd be worth it. Those are the cards that are currently worth getting. The ones that are a bit high in price are 5080s. 5080s are kind of ridiculous priced. Same thing with the 5090s. They're expensive, but they're just going to get worse. And as mentioned, NVIDIA already said that the pricing is going to go up phenomenally because of the whole production value, and plus the VRAM it takes in order to create the 5090s. So, but I don't know if they will be expensive because of that reason. At that price value, it can get you 192 gigabytes of RAM. I always think about that poor guy that ended up trading 192 gigabytes of RAM for a 5070 Ti. He could have easily got a 5090. They did him so dirty. I hope he goes back and gets what he deserves. I hope he gets that 5090. That's messed up. Can you guess how much we spent on the 5? Oh, I'm scared, LSG. I am scared how much you spent on 512. 512? It's got to be like, that's got to be expensive. It's got to be like closer to what? Because I automatically think of 128, right? 128, I remember, was like roughly around 1,500. So I would assume maybe about 5,000, I would think. 5,000 for it. which is again equivalent to like a RTX 5090 and then some, nearly a whole RTX 5090 build. That's my guess. Waffle Skater says yes. So far, we have some interesting, colorful motherboards there. I've recently got a little over 40 gigabytes of RAM on my PC. I know that the more RAM you have installed, the more Windows. Yes. You gotta love Windows, man. Anytime Windows sees more RAM, it says, give it to me because it belongs to me now. Windows is one of those OSs that is just insanely greedy. Like when LSG, once he has that build done and he has 512 gigabytes of RAM inside of that PC, Windows is going to take at least 100 gigabytes of it for no damn reason. So they might be higher price because the new PSU are along the warning signal. Yes. And that it's going to be a little bit higher price because I do agree with that. So ABS Cyclone, Ruby, Gaming PC, Windows 11, AMD, Ryzen. Okay. So these are the specs. So how much? So did you end up getting it? I just got this 30-minute. Oh, really? It's not bad technically. It's not bad. It's honestly not that bad. That's actually pretty decent for what you have it. What I'm curious about is what the, okay, so it says CR, get me the model number of the RAM. Just out of curiosity, I'm just curious what type of RAM that they're using in it. But I think you made out decent. I saw Deber put out a wire meter that will shut down your PC if the power pins go over 12 volt. Yes, they do have kits for that. So Kilobyte says, who has the LSS in their NVIDIA cards? Some people still, you know, the funny thing is there is people out there that will still end up using the LSS, even though they have like RTX 5090. There's no reason for it, but people will do it. They will use the LSS. Has anybody tried DLSS 4.5? I'm just curious. How many hands out there have tried DLSS 4.5? So far, it seems that the consensus is that people would certainly go for a colorful motherboard. That's awesome. I would love for them to come out with their boards. I think they would do great. It would be awesome to have more competition in the space. I think they would certainly bring a banger motherboard for sure. So next poll will go up in just a bit, which I do have to ask a question for everybody out there for, have you used DLS 4.5? That will be the poll out there, and I will turn it back on and feel free to vote. So let's see, LSG. Oh, that's how much you spent, LSG. Oh, my heart, man. Again, pricing has gone up so phenomenally since then. It was last month when I looked at it. I can't even say it was close. I thought $5,000 was close. Damn. That was just the RAM. And I thought you guys had like a $10,000 budget. That's like almost all of it right there. Windows is the captain now. So, do I have to wait for the new? You don't have to wait for it, but if you are, it's going to cost top dollar. That's for sure. If you do go for it, you tried it. So far, I feel like the 5060 should be at least a TI with the 9700X. But in this market, what are you going to do? Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the problem. So far, I would be scared of the new motherboard manufacturers because of software bugs. Has anyone got to see these Sapphire motherboards? Because I'm certainly interested in them. I think they would do well. I was hoping that I would see them at CES too. I think they would have a awesome show if they were there as well. Only if they were willing to get on there. My i5 9600K is almost dead, so I picked the best AM4 platform and saved 32 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, I mean, you do have the RAM technically, right? So, I mean, you can run the same RAM kit if you wanted to on AM. Well, technically on DDR4, it was a little bit different from what I remember. I think it depends on your kit. What is your kit running? Is it at 3200 megahertz for your kit? Or 36, because then you can certainly run it on AM4 with no issue. So it's buggy. So it is buggy. It doesn't work that great just quite yet. I kind of figured it would kind of be a little bit sketch, especially when it comes to it right now. I kind of had that certain idea. I kind of felt like that wasn't going to be quite perfect. But people were just like bragging about, saying it was like one of the new best things. Let's see if they got the bundle. It seems that they do have in stock. Let's go scroll down here. So they have this. No, that's at 79. They have the 9970X bundle. Let's bundle it now, right? And see what we get here. And they probably just don't excuse me. They probably just don't have the RAM for it, I bet. Let's check. They probably have everything but the RAM. Yeah, I thought so. They have it open box. I guess so. It went up too. It went up in price a little bit. Instead of 15 like originally as we saw it, it went to 17. But they have it open box for how much was it? So you save incomplete. Look at all these open boxes. That's insane. So you probably had a lot of people trying to do this whole Threadripper kit, and they sent out what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's quite a bit of open box Kingston RAM. I bet it's fine. I'm pretty sure it's fine. And CL28, so it's decent. It's ECC as well. So this is great for anyone for workstation usage. But you can't build the bundle though. What's the point of it? Items as purchased. So if you can't build the bundle, then you're not going to save anything, because you'll just get the Threadripper and the motherboard, and that's it. And then you would have to pay, I guess because it's open, you can't get a discount on it. That's crazy. So Mutant Millennial says, running DLSS on Overwatch 2, get about 500 hertz. Really? Oh, so it works great with the 5080 Astral. Has anyone had a similar experience? So far, there's not too many people that has tried it. How about you? I know you've been you tried it as well. What was your experience with it so far? The budget went out the window when the owner decided to make. Oh, really? So is it going to be at his house? This workstation? Because that's insane. That's pretty funny, I gotta say. And he's having you build it. So, can't believe the price of RAM a few months ago. You could have, yeah, and that's the thing. Anybody could have just bought a PC at like every time I go back to my old receipts, like the Micro Center, and I see that I paid only $92 for a RAM kit, I'm like, man, it's crazy to think that wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's literally, what was it? March I bought that kit, I think it was. And it was, again, only $92. And that used to be like one of the cheaper upgrades you can get when it comes to a PC build. So, Steve says, a friend put a computer together, 64 gigabytes of DDR5, CL30, 6,000 mega transfers, and RTX 4070 Super, and a Ryzen 9 7900X. I told him about the price of RAM. He said he paid $240 for his now $900. It's funny, you'll talk to a lot of people and they'll tell you the same situation. Now, anybody that's just coming in and curious about the RAM situation, unfortunately, it's not any better. And it isn't going to get any better. In fact, they are saying, Micron and SK Hynix are practically both saying that it seems more likely for it to last into 2028. I've asked the suppliers. I tried to get into SK Hynix meeting. Unfortunately, they kind of blocked me in, and they said I couldn't come in because I didn't have a reservation for the timing slot. So I you know what I should have pulled, guys? I should have said like, hey, you guys did put me in. Remember, you penciled me in for like 1 o'clock, and my name is so and so, and just to see if they could get me in so I can ask some questions out of curiosity. But from SK Hynix and from Micron, they said that it's not going to get better when it comes to the RAM situation. So for all those who have like really held on till like since October, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's going to continue to decline. Not decline, but I should say incline in pricing when it comes to DDR5. So if you are looking to get some RAM, I keep saying this is the time to buy RAM, but realistically, every week too late is a week too late when it comes to buying RAM. So 2028 is going to be DDR6. So if you have RAM already, it's going to... And the thing is, I'm not sure if they're really going to push DDR6 like that. Say if Intel comes out with their new platform by the end of the year, they come out with their new CPU. If they do, are they going to push DDR6? Because then, you know how expensive it is? If you guys remember, like, especially for those who built one, say, Alder Lake. Oh, so apologize, guys. So for those who just built Alder Lake, for those who were built Alder Lake, probably remember how crazy the pricing was when it came to purchasing the DDR5. when purchasing the DDR5, it was really expensive to get 32 gigabytes. It costed around $330 then, and that was because it was brand new. There's people selling it on eBay for $1,000, even up to $1,500, kind of similar to what it is today. But with DDR6, you can just imagine it's going to be the same way. It's going to cost much more than DDR5, and it's going to be cost much more expensive to produce because not too many people have DDR6 quite yet then. So I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with that. So they don't want to increase supply much either, and that's the problem. That's so funny. What I was gonna say, waffle skater. So, let me close that poll for you guys because that poll's done with too. So, what I was gonna say. Oh, that's funny. Now I just lost my whole train of thought about that. What I was gonna say is when it comes to the whole RAM situation, there's no real true light. It's going to be expensive. We're going to take a look at the price chart when it comes to the RAM, and unfortunately, it's gone up again dramatically in price, as we will see on PC Parts Picker here. So if we go down, you can get an idea of how the pricing has gone up once again. So originally in December, everyone's like, oh, it's stagnated. It's not, the pricing isn't going to change that much. But you can see from December, you can see that kind of spike up like once it entered January slightly and kind of flatlined. So it's like, looks somewhat positive. And then within the next week after CES, like we all thought, it's going to go boom, right back up into the pricing once again. Now it's again priced up much higher to, again, it's reaching much closer to about $900, I would say. Roughly about $875 to $900 an average of when it comes to pricing for 32 gigabytes of RAM. So unfortunately, it's just not going to change, and it's just going to continually go up in demand. Now I remember what I was just about to tell you guys too. So what I wanted to tell you guys is the fact that when it comes to RAM, now I keep losing my train of thought for a second, but when it comes to RAM, what was it? It was something important too. But it's very annoying and very frustrating when it comes to this, because for any average PC builder out there that just wants to build a PC for gaming, it's just become too expensive for most people out there. And for those, I feel bad for a lot of people out there that wants to end up building a PC, because now it's just going to be just priced really high. And what I wanted to add now was the fact that investors, when I was speaking to some of the guys up there at CES, and they brought up a very decent point. So the decent point I wanted to bring up, and I'll definitely bring up Steve Anderson in a bit real quick, but what I wanted to throw out there is the fact that, just to let you guys know, when it comes to the pricing, when it comes to the RAM, when it comes to production, and when it comes to the fabs, is that they don't want to produce anymore. And the reason being is investors are not stupid either, meaning that they know AI can be a bubble. They understand this. So they're not going to throw more money into building another fab, because if it is a bust, if AI is a bust, and they invested more money to create this other fab, then they just created a oversupply of wafers, which can obviously build more NAND, more RAM. It would be great for us consumers, because then everything would go on sale, because they got to get rid of it. They got to get rid of the RAM then. It would quickly deflate down from $900 all the way back down to like its original pricing once more. And it would sell like hotcakes. But obviously investors, they don't want to look at it like that. They want to create for profit, obviously. So them investing more money to create another fab, and to know that it's not going to create more HBMs, or if it's not going to create as much wafers, and they end up wasting their money, they're not going to take that risk. And that's why a lot of this isn't going to go away very quick, because there is no true demand for that. So Steve Anderson says, my friend just bought a ASUS Tough Gaming RTX 5080. That other stuff was 6 months ago. For oh wow, 491 euros. Patriot Viper 32 gigabyte kit CL30 6,000 mega transfers at the lowest price. So Rubica says $300 for Corsair. Vengeance at 96 gigabytes, 6,000 mega transfers of CL30 in September. Insane. It's just, again, it's just become nonstop a problem when it comes to pricing, when it comes to PC components. So if we go ahead and take a look at the memory side and say you just want to get some decent 32 gigabytes of memory, the average you're going to see is going to be 6,000 mega transfers, and it's going to be CL36 because there is not going to be really a change in latency. If anything, it's going to go up in latency because they're just trying to keep the best wafers to create these the HBMs for themselves. So if that's the case, Crucials are still selling for like about 400 to average. You do have some G skills, which are about 380, and then you have Corsairs at 64 gigabytes. So these are the more common ones you will find at the store. And unfortunately, it just seems that they have plenty in stock. You can see that they have plenty in stock. The problem is that the RAM doesn't really have the shortage per se. It's so that way they can control the shortage. So if people did end up buying this like more often than what you expected, if they started saying, you know what, $400 isn't bad for RAM, and everyone started buying it, that is what will cause a shortage and then cause even a more uptick, so to say, when it comes to pricing, when it comes to RAM. And hopefully that remains less avoided, because if that continues, if that ends up becoming the new norm, that's just giving a green signal to the suppliers, like saying, hey, they feel this is not too bad, this is average, we can sell more of this stuff. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think it will anytime soon. People are not dumb. They understand that this is very expensive. Hence why, if you are building a new PC, I highly recommend that anybody out there that is building a PC is to start off with a PC kit. Now, obviously, this one's kind of high. Almost looks like one of those Newegg kits that we always have fun with. But you go into the AMD bundles, just say, and you look in here, they still do have full out RAM kits with the motherboard and CPU. Like, I mean, you can get one as low as $350 from Micro Center. Again, you get one stick of RAM, so you might not get a lot of RAM, but you got one stick at least to play your PC. So that's, again, $350 for anyone that just wants to start off. But if you do want to get up to 32 gigabytes, you can get a $550 kit, as it seems like there's no more $500 kits as it originally was. $500 was like the cheapest kit you can get with 32 gigabytes. It raised up slightly and went up to 550 now. So if you want, like, say, a 7700X with a B650, you can get this kit for 550, which honestly isn't too bad. Now you can upgrade the motherboard. You can get the Ice edition for a little bit more. You can spend like another $20 about, and you get the white version if that's what you prefer. But of course, you can stick with the original version that they come with, which is the AX Black edition. So its case says, I seen a few people online get the RAM adapters to use their. Oh, has that started happening already? That's pretty funny. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I mentioned this to ASUS, which was pretty funny, was that if you guys remember that they had those kits where you can convert DDR4 RAM to DDR5. Now, it seems like a genius type of kit to have, especially today, in today's conditions. It would be certainly nice. So Joe P says, it's not a shortage issue, it's AI allocation. Their priority is not the PC market, and soon I agree. And that's exactly what I brought up. That's why you see that there's so much stock. Like, there's over 25 of each kit. So the problem is it can become a shortage. And if it does become a shortage, then it would become an even worse problem. So again, the wafers are very limited to what they can produce. And when it comes to producing these wafers, it has to be like perfection. There can't be really any type of yield when it comes to their these wafers when they do end up cutting them. If there is, that is also something that can cause a problem. So Again, when it comes to kits, for anyone that is just getting into PC building, I highly recommend to just get the full kit. It's much cheaper, I can tell you. So here's an Intel kit, 265K. It comes with the MSI Z890. So this one doesn't look too bad. Now this one comes with, now if you get this kit, you get the 265K and you get the Z890 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi motherboard, and you get Corsair's RAM, which is going to be, it's got to be CL36, I would think, for something like this. But outside US, you don't even have these deals. So what kind of deals are you seeing from your side, out of curiosity? Like, is there any deals in, for example, over in Europe? I would love to know if there is deals like at your local stores, because I know it can be quite competitive, especially when it comes to the VAT tax and everything. I would imagine it's really expensive at this current time. But this kit, it looks like it has the Gaming Plus Wi-Fi LGA 1851. It has the Corsair Vengeance with 32 gigabytes. Now let's take a look a little bit closer on the RAM side. Now this combo summary is 64. No wonder why it's so expensive. So it looks like the AMD kit. The reason why, it can't be right though, because it looks like on this kit, for some reason on the combo summary, I'm sorry, I gotta laugh, because if you looked at this, if you looked at the kit, right, you look on this side, for some reason on the combo summary, and then it ended up bundling the 9800X 3D. That was weird, but at least it lets you know it's incompatible. So you're not gonna want to put that in a Z890. The biggest shop is, and how much is it in is Pro Shop? How much is it currently? What's their deals looking like in their advertisements so far? I'm gonna get rid of this, and then we're gonna put the 265K. And so it's $10 off with the code. And if you choose this kit, let's see. But why did it pick the memory like this? So this kit's like completely thrown off. All right, so we're gonna fix this. It was a 32 gigabyte kit at Micro Center. It's at $400, but CL36. So, oh, that it would work. Do I go to lie? Oh yeah. Can you imagine that? You're like, how come it's not sitting flush? How come the notches don't add up? It doesn't really make any sense. I never thought I'd see a day where RAM is more expensive than a high-end. How about a day that you would think a 64 gigabyte RAM kit would be more expensive than a RTX 5070 Ti GPU, which is a much more exciting upgrade compared to RAM. I have to say, I think everybody would agree with that. KPS Lucas says, I'm about to spend 2 times the money on over a RX 9070 XT due to stutter. Really? You're experiencing micro stutter. You're not the first person that I've heard that experienced micro stutter, and it's not from just the GPU. It has to do with a lot with the settings when it comes to Fortnite. Yeah, that's. But I would have to say, try the RX 9070 XT. You'll be pleasantly surprised if it's 2 times more that it's not necessary. 100% not necessary. It wouldn't be worth it. I really doubt it, because you're playing Fortnite. Her driver updates can make yes, absolutely, yeah. So if you don't update your drivers, that can certainly cause a lot of issues when it comes to your gaming. And your driver will let you know. Like, you'll notice immediately. Like, if you didn't experience it before, more than likely you probably have a update. You already have the 9070 XT, right? The V8 big block or 192 gigabyte. Yeah, exactly. That's like the comparison. How about just like LSG said, they went to get 512 gigabytes of RAM, and it costed them nearly $8,000. That's most people's car right there. That's probably a lot of people's cars that own a car is like about $8,000 on average, which is crazy. I mean, it's just RAM. So let's add it all into the cart and see what it looks like. and we're gonna throw it in there. Okay, so this looks more right. This looks correct. But again, it's more expensive than I originally anticipated because it was supposed to be like $700. Okay, so okay, the motherboard's 189. Okay, that's fair. But it seems that okay, there must be something. Oh yeah, this anchor charger. I was like, that's not right. Let's throw this out. I forgot I had that in there. So so I had to get one for CES too. That was a lifesaver, I gotta say, because I saw all those people like wrapped around for those outlets, just like trying to charge up their phones or their cameras. Man, I felt bad for them. But so this kit, it's about $735. Not too bad of a combo, but I'm pretty sure you could get a better deal with Micro Center if we take a look. And we'll go to Micro Center again. And if we took a look at like a similar kit, now consider yourself very lucky if you live close to a Micro Center, or if you can get to one with even though it's like say a couple hours, it might be worth the drive, especially if you go ahead and get like a kit. Now for a Micro Center kit, you can get the As You Wish motherboard by ASUS with the Z890 265KF, 32 gigabytes. Again, you're saving like almost like $150, more than that. Yeah, like $150 roughly. If you end up going with Micro Center. So and you get a decent motherboard. The RAM's not bad. It's not good as Corsair, I can say, because Crucial RAM is good, but for those who are interested more into the timing side of things, you might be a bit more interested in Corsair. So I take a V8 big block Chevy for with a 6-pack. Who needs? Well, this is on a workstation build. That's why. This is on a workstation Threadripper. Friendly reminder to not forget about your chipset. Yes, super important. Please do that. At these prices, a 4-hour drive. Yes, I wouldn't mind a 4-hour drive as long as if I can get a great deal. And then all I got to say is the store better have it, because if they don't have it, I would flip. Can you imagine driving 4 hours to Micro Center and they're like, oh, a person just like 30 minutes ago just came in to buy the same exact kit. So make sure to buy it. Like if you could purchase the kit and pick it up, I would certainly recommend it. But I mean, it still might be worth the trip anyway. You might find a different bundle. You drove 4 hours away, so what the hell? You might as well go ahead and make a purchase of a kit. So I worked 10 miles away. Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. I know you want to stop by every once in a while, right? Check in what's new, because anytime you see Micro Center, you're like, you just love going there. It's just an awesome store to really look at, because you'll end up, if you have a Micro Center near you, you're always going to end up walking out with something. So Waffle Skater says, I got a Micro Center near me, but I'm within 4 hours of the 3. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's because there's only like realistically, there's only like maybe what, like 15, I think, roughly 15 or 16 stores. I think they're up to 16 stores now. But still, what does he have to do to make use of? Well, I mean, he's building practically a server. I mean, they do engineer work, so I'm sure they have a very good purpose for it. The 427 CID and 6-pack is it's a brand new one. Yeah, and that's the best part. The brand new Micro Centers are the ones that are amazing. Like when Miami opened up their store, I was hyped because I was dying for Micro Center to arrive here. I really was. Meanwhile, yes, yes, that's true. It wouldn't take me out the state. It would have to be at least another 30 minutes to get me out. It would take me, because I'm all the way on the bottom of the panhandle. Of the state. I'm on the bottom of the peninsula, I mean. So I can't see RMA. It's happened. If you guys haven't seen that, there's issues with people that RMA'd their RAM, and apparently they were sending it into Corsair, and instead of getting a kit, a RAM kit, they would get a lighting enhancement kit, which is to fill in the extra RAM slots if you're running it on say dual RAM. And if you fill in those slots, it just causes the other slots to light up. They give it, more of an aesthetically pleasing look. Doesn't do anything. It's not, they're just like dummy RAM practically. So it's happened already. And there's even been cases where people actually went to go purchase a DDR5. And when they went to go actually try to use it, and they're like, it doesn't fit. Why doesn't it fit? And as soon as they pop open the heatsink, they realize, like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. It was actually DDR4 using like heatsinks from DDR5, which is crazy. So, are there? Yeah, they really need to. I actually brought this to attention to Micro Center, and they said that they would bring it to their attention of their coordinator, who's the one that deals with it. So I don't know if that went anywhere. I hope it did, but I did bring it up. Like, they should have one like over by West Palm Beach and have one over by Orlando, because those are like hot spots right there. Like, those are easy areas for them to easily open up a store, and I guarantee you those areas would do well. Yeah, I'm curious. RMAs are going to go up for the next few years, especially with Crucial RAM. So 19. Yeah, I mean, who would you prefer a car? Now that make it. You're making me want to put up a poll now. I'm gonna have to put up this poll now, all because of your thoughts here. Would you rather get a car than RAM? Ready, guys? I'm going to throw up the poll, guys. So here it is. Would you rather get a car than RAM? It's a decent car. It doesn't have to be no Geo Prism or anything like that. I mean, a decent car. So meanwhile, Corsair, we can fix and sell. Oh man, did you guys hear about the guy in Russia who actually created his own RAM? He actually ended up taking up he actually took off DRAM off of old sticks, and I guess he figured out which one was actually good on there, so he actually took them out and resoldered them onto another PCB to make good RAM. So he ended up saving himself like $150, I think, doing it. So I can't imagine being the guy. What's up, Crozer? I can't imagine being the guy who decides where your next location is for a company like Micro Center. Wouldn't want that pressure on me. Yeah, I mean, they have to get it right. So if you guys want to vote on the poll, feel free to split the number. So far, most people said, yeah, why wouldn't I just get the car? The car is the better deal. I can actually go somewhere. So RAM prices is up for a car level. That is for sure. Absolutely. Just imagine, okay, you know what's a good one, guys? Have you guys seen the Honda Aflia? The car that is the combination of Sony and Honda together. So they created a car called the Aflia. And have you seen the pricing on that car? I know it's kind of off topic, but I had to bring this up because I'm pretty sure it uses quite a significant amount of RAM in that car for sure. Has anyone got to see the Aflia? If you did, it's quite expensive. They're actually going to end up releasing it within the. They're actually going to end up releasing it within I think the first quarter, sometime in the first quarter. Good question. That's something we have to check. I will check the SSD pricing. So most people says I'm going with the car. I don't blame you. I'd rather drive I'd rather drive the digital cars. Hey, at least if you get into an accident in the game, you can just easily just get another car, right? And it's not like you have to pay real insurance, gas. That's another thing. And then you have to, well, anyway, the Aflia. So what the Aflia is, it's a Sony Honda hybrid car. They wanted to build this car solely for entertainment. So it is a car. It still is a car. You can tell it to go places. For example, if I wanted to go to, like, if you wanted to go somewhere, say you wanted to go out to the beach, or if you want to go out to the store, you say, hey, take me here, and the car will drive you there. But I don't see, nobody's not saying no, which is wild. But anyway, it would take you there, but you don't have to physically drive the car. The car would actually drive itself over to, say, to the beach, or it would drive itself over to to wherever you tell it to drive. And while it's driving you there, it actually has, it's an entertainment system. So you can watch movies, you can play games, you can just like pretty much chill in the car. And but again, this car is quite pricey. It's in fact, it costs, the cheapest base model that they have for this car is $89,900. So, and this is a Honda, guys. This is a Honda with a Sony car. But because it's an entertainment car or entertainment system, that it would just take you to wherever you want to go. What's up, Master Killer? So, because of those features, you can literally just sit in there. You can play your PC games. You can play PlayStation 5 if you want to. I think it has PlayStation 5 built into it. And of course, it has like the cloud and stuff on there. But again, yeah, no problem. I'm glad. Thank you for coming in. But I gotta say, that's what you can do with that car. So it's not only just a car; it's an entertainment system. So would you pay that kind of price? And for the high end version, they do have like the Prime version of it. And the Prime version of it's like 102,000. And this was at CES. What kind of car I drive? I drive a RDX, Acura RDX. Nothing too crazy. Originally I drove a sports car, but unfortunately that ended up flooding out. Like I used to drive an Eclipse, but when I went to the gym, unfortunately, like while it was sitting in the parking lot, and in Florida it floods really quick. And I wasn't really thinking nothing of it. But when I was driving out in the lot, it ended up hydrolocking. So I ended up getting rid of that car and ended up getting the RDX. But yeah, that's what I've been driving. So the crazy thing is that's where some of the RAM is going. Like it's probably priced a lot more higher than they expected. I don't think they originally expected that car to be that much. But I'll show you what it looks like. VTEC Turbo, Mercedes Avatar. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's take a look here. They have it for reservations for anyone that is interested in it. So somebody said no. I'd rather not get RAM. That's funny. Somebody actually said no. Somebody said I'd rather get RAM. I mean, so here it is. It starts. You guys see that starting price? That's it right there. So technically, you don't have to drive it. It's autonomous, sound and visual. $89,900 for it. Yeah. Somebody said no. I'd rather get RAM. I drive a 03 Tacoma with 100. Hey, I mean, it still works great, right? Future Waymos, practically. So you design it, right? You design this car. You saw this too, right? LSG, the Afila. I'm sure you saw it because they've been bringing this to CES like for the last 3 years at least. And take a look. Here's the origins. I drive. Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. That's an awesome car to have. So it's $89,900. Now that's to get the original, like the origin version. You have to wait till 27. Now, if you get the signature, it's $102,900. And again, this is for the you're paying for the Sony Honda car put together. And the crazy part is, as a they try to sell you as your own personal agent. You can talk to it, has a 3D map, completely customizable, and this is what it looks like inside. So you have like a full-on entertainment system, and you can chill and practically relax in the car, and it takes care of it. Mercedes Vision. Yeah, let's look that up real quick. I'm curious about it. The Mercedes Vision. They had different things that they did have at the show. Like they did have like LiDAR 2, which is something that they are releasing sometime soon. That's pretty wild looking too. Does it have? Yeah, it does. Yeah. The funny thing is nobody's gonna be worried about the car anymore. They're just gonna strip it of the RAM. They're gonna strip the RAM out the car now at this point. The dawn of the new era. The vision of Mercedes. There you go. Redefining luxury space. Yeah, that's pretty wild. That is crazy looking. What? But why is it to me that the chair? It's pretty dope, the inside, right? But to me, yeah, I heard in China they definitely do. If you look at the chair, is it me or does it look like a paper towels? It looks like a roll of paper towels, like all stacked up with each other. Is it just me or does it look like just like paper towels all like stacked? uh, at least they had nature in mind, right? save all the paper. Looks like it made back. It kind of does. It does. Let's go down a bit. Let's go take a look at this. What's up, trap rats? Come on, man. Like, what's with that chair? I could be wrong. It could be more comfortable than it looks, but it really looks. If you add AVTR, it's oh really? So it's completely different if you add AVTR. That's wild. Let's go back. Let's take a look at it. That that isn't gonna. I know I'm a bit fearful for it. Oh look, you have a chess set. You can whip out a chess set. I hope it's magnetic. It's got to be magnetic. They got to be magnetic for sure. So let me see. So let's go up here real quick. So let's go to vehicles. Man, this website's kind of a mess here. Let's see. Let's go back here. No, these are, it just has it under concept cars. Let me go further down. They'll probably pop up then. I will never drive EVs. I don't blame you. The experience with EVs, they're quiet, they're nice, but the fact that they just drain so quick, like when it comes to the batteries, I mean, I tried driving like something like a Tesla, Polestar, and it's all the same thing. It's like they've run out of juice real quick. And you got to remember to consistently charge it. That's like the biggest issue I do have with EVs. Until they come out with like solid state batteries, then I can say that would be much better for that case. But yeah, very interesting. I gotta say, very interesting for the most part. But they are trying to push it for the new thing. They even got the electric. They have an all white have to detail in the speed dial. The closest I get is an M5 EV Touring. So I secured a ASUS Astro ROG RTX 32 gigabyte. Oh, you did? That's awesome. Original price, and I have it last year, and now I see. Yeah. Oh, really? What? That's insane. Because again, in China, they're selling those kits, like the 5090 kits, which I can show you. It's like the 5090 blower style. And I'll look it up for you guys. It was right here. So in China, this is what they're coming out with. And this is more for the on the AI side of things because they know that there's a demand for it. So I'll take down that poll, guys. It seems that the majority of people out there would much rather get a car than RAM. So I'll shut that poll down for you guys, and we'll throw up another one in a bit. So they have these blower style cards. It looks something like this. So it's a 5090 practically, but in a form where it kind of gives you that that RTX 6000 look pretty much. So they're doing this for more of people that's into yes. Which is this type of style, just the one blower. So that's what they call it. Now, this is meant for those who are more into the AI side of things, if they want to be able to stack the cards that the way they do. Now, of course, they'll tell you that multiple facilities have it. 32G. Honest question, I keep getting one from Amazon, straight from ASUS, and swallow my pride. Go for 2K. Be careful. Don't. Actually, speaking of which, you just reminded me of something. Let me forewarn everybody out there about there are RTX 5090s out there that they are trying to attempt to sell on Amazon. I don't know if you guys heard of this or not, but apparently there's been a scam going on. If you go ahead and purchase these RTX 5090 cards that are priced at $2,000, even though they're they say they're RTX 5090s, be careful of the seller because apparently they're still listed on Amazon. But if you do buy these cards, you'll actually end up with like a bag instead. You'll end up like with some sort of like one of those like just like one of the bags that you have, like just like a over the shoulder strap type of bag. That's what you'll end up getting. So people actually complained about this. So be really careful if you are purchasing on Amazon. If the price is too good to be true, more than likely it is. So be careful of that. So I wish back. I mean, they sort of did. They have some cards that are kind of like a similar concept. So yeah, Waymo started here in the Bay Area. Jag, yeah, it's funny because I was over in San Francisco like in August, and I saw the Waymos that they had around there, and it's funny that people actually end up going in them and actually trusting them to take them wherever they go. Because I would not get in one. And I even heard a story, and I was talking to somebody there, and they said they actually saw one Waymo that ended up like crashing into like a pole and wrapping around it. So that made me a bit questionable. I'm sure it's not a common case that happens. I'm sure they tested it like thousands of times before then. But if you experience Waymo, let me know because I'm really curious what your experience was. So huge PCB plate, pretty much. Um, yeah, this is the look of it. See, RTX 5090 32G D7 Turbo. Nearly 10 years. They've been here. Glad they're finally expanding. Haven't used the deadhead hardware. Oh, thank you for lurking, Adam. Always appreciate it. But blower ones tends to be louder and less effective if you don't stack them together. And that's the purpose. You have to stack them together. When are you? Oh, you're really interested in that copper keyboard. I should have brought it up over at CES. In fact, when I was there. You know what I realized? Like some of the comments, like on the stream, I guess I didn't really register through because of how the signal was over at CES. It was just like terrible. I gotta find a workaround for that. Like even if like I connect like through like say like a Wi-Fi, they don't really have it there. Or even having like two bands. I was running on Verizon and T-Mobile, and I was still having issues with the connection there. But there's got to be a way to have like a very steady signal because I wonder how some of the other guys do it. Like if they're on a stream and they're able to get to like the first floor because it seems like once you're there, it becomes like an immediate dead spot when you're streaming. So let's see. While that raises doubts, the other cards, thermal pace and capabilities, chance that the GPUs are meant for AI. Of course, yeah. Why wouldn't it be? It would just make sense that that's what it's for because no one's gonna want to start daisy chaining RTX 5090s for no reason. So you just don't have a 4K Ultra HD Sony camera. That's why you yeah, that's probably why, right? It's funny. I actually the camera was like the backup, and I'm so glad that I always bring my camera around. But at least you guys got to see everything in 4K for the most part. So Xfinity Mobile made us. Oh, really? So it did that good. So undervolt these blower cards, and I mean, you could. There's a box like sitting right here. So Nvidia has not. Of course, they're not going to comment. They want to pretend this is when Nvidia turns their blind eye because they can't say anything about things like this. Of course, if it happened here, it'd be a whole different story. But this was one of the reasons why they never took like some of those GB202 GPUs that they tried to give over to China. And that was one of the reasons because they do things like this. They know they can get away with it. But this is one of them. And speaking of which, let's go on video cards. It's real quick because this reminds me of a couple things here. So they said, now speaking of DLSS, they said that they did release a more stable version of DLSS 4.5. But again, that's something to be tested. Not sure how true that is. Insane. ASUS needs to increase their quality control. Oh, why? What happened? Did you run into an issue? I gotta say, I wanted to stream to you. You know what I really wanted to stream to you guys was the MSI. The MSI floor, but they were in a very bad location. They were like right across over by what was it? Right across over, I think they were right by Razer. They were right over by Razer, but for some reason they were just like they just had no good signal like in that whole floor. It was bad. It was really rough. I got broken. Really? Oh wow. Which motherboard was it? I gotta know. Which motherboard were you having issues with? Was it one of their tough boards? That's crazy. I haven't really had any issues besides the last time I ran into an issue with the ASUS was the Z690 boards, and the Z690 board was all because they had was it the capacitor? It was backwards on there, and because it was not the MOSFET, yeah, it was the capacitor. It was set backwards on there, and it would cause the board to short, and I actually had to send it in and get it replaced. And that was on specifically on Elder Lake when that happened. The ROG Strix B550. Oh wow. You bought it new? They haven't brand new like the B550F. My Hero BTF has been solid so far. Yeah, my Hero has been great too. Like I said, I haven't really ran into too many issues besides that one. Like I said with the ASUS. I know some people had issues when it came to like the BIOS update, like when it came to the Ryzen 7000 series to 9000 series, where they felt like ASUS was had a play of words when it came to the BIOS, because if you update the BIOS, they said they weren't covering anything under the warranty because it was basically a beta BIOS. But that didn't last. They immediately ended up taking that down like in the next, what was it, day or two, and then they ended up swapping it out and put it into that actual official release. But I guess maybe they did that because they wanted to make sure that somebody had like something to play at least during the time. Like if you wanted to use that PC, you had a BIOS to update to. So it makes sense to get a 4090 or 5090 solely for AI training or inference. You can get the NVIDIA L4 for about 1200 USD and use it about 75 watts TDP. You read, okay, for, wow. Yeah, that's pretty, yeah, I know, that's pretty low. That's insane. That'd be insanely low. In my opinion, motherboard companies needs to redo their control software. They all suck. Yeah, it's not the best. I am kind of excited though about ASUS's new BIOS though. That's pretty dope. I think that's going to be a lot better than a lot of the BIOSes out there. Gigabyte also has a great one too. So Arthur says that, hey Chris, I'm considering I want a 64 gigabyte for rendering, but I do not have enough money. Do you think that two 16 gigabytes or one 32 gigabyte thinking to buy another 32 gigabyte in the future? Is it worth dual channel is 100% worth it. Dual channel is actually a lot more efficient, but if you're using it for rendering, I know it's much better to have more. So you want to go ahead and get like something like that is a tough choice. Dual channel will be much quicker for you. Having 132 gigabyte isn't bad. If you're using it for rendering, I feel that you can get away with 132 gigabyte. I'm sure it's better to have two 16 gigabytes, but if you're planning to do like a massive expansion, you would save more money if you go with the 32 gigabyte. I would say I would go with the 32 gigabyte, but again, it's optional for you to do this, which you can obviously get the 216 and then end up selling it, but you won't get as much value because you still have to sell it in order to gain. So I would say the 32 gigabytes would definitely be better. So just learn. Yeah. Like I got 128 gigabytes laying around. So Master Killer says, as for DLSS 4.5, you don't need the beta NVIDIA app. You can use DLSS swapper and download the latest L and M models. The DLLs on the games if you want to use them. You'll have to trade them for a 90. Yeah, have that kind of trade going. What you said is MSI brings a new PSU series. Yes. So MSI will have that new PSU out. Did they give me a date? I'm trying to remember if they gave me a date, but it will be out soon. It looks like they will release it soon. I know it's within the first quarter of this year. But I would definitely love to get it to test it out for you guys because that would be an awesome power supply for everyone to get if that's the case, especially if your 50 series ends up overheating in some way or too much voltage gets sent through, that PSU will automatically shut it down. Yeah, no problem, Arthur. So, who do you think has the most RAM in storage? I would say, out of all of them, probably J2 Cents. I would assume he's been around for the longest. I know Gamers Nexus has been around. They all been around, but I feel like for some reason I feel like J2 Cents has a lot. I have a good feeling he has plenty of it. If I and I gotta say, a lot of the guys again was there were a lot of them were good guys over at CES. So if you're curious about any of them, most of them were. But unfortunately, of all the guys you mentioned, I didn't see any of them. I didn't see Gamers Nexus or Hardware Unbox. I met mostly everyone else though, or Linus. I didn't get to see him this year, unfortunately. I know he was there, but he wasn't. He wasn't there. Um, I know a couple people I know that actually ran into him, but I didn't get to see him, unfortunately. So, fam guys, I have to say, hopefully, you found this live very useful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. Check out the new video I have. I talk about the new AMD Ryzen 9850X3D. If you guys are interested in getting that CPU for your PC. So look what I said in general. Sure, I'll check it out real quick. I got the alert too. Yes, I will. I will. I'll try to get in touch with MSI and see what I can get. Let's see. Um let's see. You sent something through general. Yeah, I was right, man. I was I knew it. I knew it. He had to have plenty of. He has. Look at all that DDR5 he has. That looks like, and he has DDR4. Wow, that's quite the collection. I'll show you. I'll show you guys what Tony had sent me here. Let's see, right there. Take a look at that collection, guys. That's a great way to end the show. But so if you guys have any requests for any PC peripherals that you would love to see, let me know. I'll definitely try to get in reach with MSI to see if I can get one. Of course, it's gonna have to wait a little bit because after CES, it's kind of a madhouse when it comes to emails. But I certainly do appreciate everyone for coming in. I hope you certainly enjoyed this live. Make sure you don't forget to like and subscribe and be a wonderful member to the channel.
Zenu8989 subscribe to the channel.
He has more money. Thank you for subscribing, Zenu. Has more money. Yes. That can get you an Athlia. That much RAM can certainly get you an Athlia. Thank you guys so much for coming into the stream and take care.